everyone. I hope you can hear me okay because it's pouring outside. I'm actually not sure if the sound is very loud and if it's coming through. Anyway, what I wanted to share today was my thoughts on depression. Um, I come from a family where depression has been pretty rampant, and I'm not talking about like I'm feeling low, I'm feeling depressed sort of a depression. I'm talking about uh, clinically depressed people, right? My grandmother, for example, was bipolar. She was clinically depressed. My father also was depressed and he was on meds. My uncle was also clinically depressed. So there is history, especially on my paternal side. But what uh, I realized was that, while genetics might have a role to play in depression, there is also something to be said about uh, your own stance towards it, like whether you succumb to it or not, because while genetics could have a role to play, you also have a say in it, right? I remember a quote by Naval Ravikant who said that happiness is a choice and a skill. So it's a choice you make and a skill that you develop. And I feel like, depression is something similar where you you decide whether you're going to succumb to a depression or not, and you even if you don't have 100% control over it, you do have influence, and that can make all the difference in the world. I grew up in an environment where other people's depression had a lot of impact on the rest of us, and that's when I sort of realized that, actually not realized, it was more of a decision I made at that point. Maybe I was like 13 or 14, I don't remember exactly, but the decision I made at that point was that I was never going to be clinically depressed or medically depressed, no matter what. I think all of us feel sad. Uh, we have our low moments, and that's totally fine. But to sort of succumb to it and say that, oh, I'm not going to live my life because I'm feeling depressed, I think is taking it a little to the extreme, because I feel like we do have a choice. At any given moment, we can choose how we act, how we think. A lot of times, we sort of don't even realize that we are going down a path and sinking into like a low mood. But when we do catch ourselves, we can pull ourselves out. And in this day and age, when there are so many resources available, there are therapists, there are honestly stuff that you can laugh about and that you can feel joyous about, Netflix that you can watch to put yourself in a better state, melodious music you can listen to. There are so many things that you can do to sort of help yourself out of the situation. Again, I'm not trying to say that depression is not a real thing. I'm not trying to say that feeling sad is wrong or feeling depressed is wrong. None of it. All I'm trying to say is that in every scenario, we have a choice, whether to pull ourselves out of like a bad situation we find ourselves in or not. And in such a situation, we can make the choice. We can make the choice to, for example, watch a series that will give you a few laughs, or talk to a friend who will hear you out and support you and uplift you, right? You have the choice to like go after your goals. You have the choice to just listen to some good music. You have a choice to go to sleep. There's so many things you can potentially do than sort of wallow in despair. And I feel like, okay, to be honest, I think there's a high chance that genetically I'm predisposed towards feeling depressed. Having said that, I feel like it has zero control over me simply because I know that I have decided that I will never allow myself to be in such a state of depression that, I feel like the world is horrible and I don't want to live my life. I know that's never going to happen. I've decided that it's not going to happen. I've decided that depression is never going to have a control over me. I'm always going to choose joy. I'm always going to choose to be happy. I'm always going to choose to live a life that will never succumb to depression. And I think that one decision will make all the difference. And I guess you can say this about like a lot of things, right? You could even say the same thing about intelligence. You can say the same thing about any sort of genetic issue that you might have. Again, I want to reiterate that I'm not saying that medical intervention is wrong or that depression is not a real thing. None of it. All I'm saying is that amidst all of this, there is also that thing called choice, and you can actually exercise that to put yourself in a much, much better place. That's it for today, and I'll see you in another video.